I think historians will look back at 2015 to 2025 and say, hey, at least it was the low point of serial killers. While we're dealing with this economy and this president and this COVID thing, what we really aren't dealing with is, let me show you. We are at a historic low of serial killers. In the 1970s and the 1980s, serial killers used to be a scary thing that people genuinely worried about. In the 70s alone, there were 300 active known serial killers. 2010 through 2020, we only had 50. Radford University, Florida Gulf State Serial Killer Database. Check it out sometime if you're ever bored. So all violent crime sort of peaked in the 70s and 80s, and admittedly it is a complex multifactorial causation, but there is this thing called the lead crime hypothesis. There's this purportedly amazing book by Carolyn Fraser called Murderland that talks all about ties between lead and the Pacific Northwest and serial killing. Lead exposure in children is most famous for lowering IQ levels, but it also does damage to your frontal cortex, which is important because that's the part of your brain that gut checks you and prevents you from doing the things that you really want to do on some primal level. There seems to be a very real link between lead exposure in children and psychopathy. But we no longer put lead in gasoline anymore. By 2020, all adults in their 20s and 30s will have grown up without any direct exposure to gasoline lead in their childhood. So why do I think that this is about to suddenly rise? Why do I think that kids are now being exposed to lead? Well, bad news to everybody who vapes. It turns out that when we phased out refillable vapes and started getting these disposable ones, the amount of heavy metals emitted is astronomical. Arsenic, chromium, nickel, and lead. According to this paper, one of the 3 major brands of vapes that they tested so high for lead that it was as if you were smoking 19 packs of cigarettes per day. This is the brand that they tested that did so poorly. This brand was the 2nd most popular in 2023 and the 6th in 2024. So they sold many of these units.
If that is the brand you currently smoke, I would suggest finding this paper and switching to one of the other brands.
In 2023, the CDC did a survey on e-cigarettes. Found that 11% of 18 to 24-year-olds were using e-cigarettes. Now, they didn't ask children whether they were vaping, but remember, the adolescent brain is not fully developed until age 25. Adolescents, 10 to 24 years old. And the part of the brain that is still maturing in 18 to 24-year-olds is the frontal cortex. That's the portion of the brain that is damaged so strongly by lead and produces serial killers.